Good morning, it's Tuesday, November 28th, and this is Dennis Mason with your overview. As we covered in yesterday's World in Review, the world is already at war, and on the verge of the type of thermonuclear war which, had Lyndon LaRouche's Strategic Defense Initiative, as proposed by President Ronald Reagan, been adopted, would already have been obsolete. The situation in the new Balkans cockpit is only intensifying, and this will not change until Barack Obama is decisively and legally removed from control over the United States presidency. For example, counterpose the behavior of an Obama who has reportedly been working like a houseboy for the British Queen in trying to put together some new hope for the dead transatlantic monetary system, to the calm, collected, and measured statement by the President of Russia this past Wednesday. Any sane president of the United States would have responded more or less immediately to the gravity of the situation which prompted Medvedev's statement. The tension over the missile system in Europe today is not less severe in its implications than was the missiles crisis of 1962. A failure in dealing with this situation properly can, as was the case then, result in the annihilation of human civilization. And there's not been a hint of a rational response from this president. The world in which Obama lives, in his mind, has no coherence with the actual world. He must leave office. In his Wednesday statement, Medvedev was transparent in the steps being taken by Russia in defense of its interests. As coheres with this strategic policy, it has been reported that Dmitry Rogozin, the Russian envoy to NATO, will be traveling to China and Iran early next year to discuss the planned deployment of missile defense. While the British Empire is pushing for creating a new world war, there was an article published over the weekend in London's Daily Mail explicitly pushing a war between China and the United States. While this is happening, the Russians are giving us every opportunity to avert this nightmare if we so choose. The calls from Russia for transparency, for legal guarantees, for negotiation, not intervention, in the new Balkan cockpit are all reasonable and rational. President Obama is not. In an interview we published yesterday with KNFX Radio, Mr. LaRouche leaned heavily on the North American Water and Power Alliance as the exemplar of policy to build our way out of this collapse. In response to a caller asking about what the foundation of a currency ought to be, and disagreeing about LaRouche's call for a third national bank, Mr. LaRouche made clear that credit must be based on production, and NWAPA is the driver for that production. Without NWAPA, because we capitulated to the British-sponsored attacks on the project, and thus have procrastinated for so many decades, we could unnecessarily lose the western states of the Union for lack of the water of life. As we detail in our feature film, NWAPA 1964, this great American project was well underway toward becoming a reality, but for the events of the late 1960s, where a generation of Americans, terrorized by these events, turned their backs on the American tradition of progress and set the stage for the economic collapse and the danger of a thermonuclear war which we face today. If you haven't seen NWAPA 1964, do so, and if you have, watch it again. Now, our work on NWAPA came out of a decision amongst Mr. LaRouche and the basement science team. The decision was made overall to take the notion of empty space and throw it right out the window. Since that time, the work of the basement team has accelerated and excels far beyond what is proffered as university-level science today. This past November 19th, LPAC hosted our first live basement webcast town hall event, which is archived and accessible for review from the front page banner. This historic event was viewed by an international audience, and many more questions and comments came in over the internet than could be fielded at the time. To keep this international dialogue going until the next basement webcast this upcoming month, we will be publishing a video today with the Basement's Peter Martinson, hosted by Ed Hamler, taking up some of the material which was left over from that first event. Stay tuned for that and the prime time update at 11 o'clock Eastern. This is Dennis Mason, signing off.